Hello everyone, welcome back to the class. So we are now leaving the old unit, the unit we had last week, which is about how to make Chinese food. And we are now entering a new unit, which is about what is the modern twist about Chinese food. So in this unit, we are going to read one novel, which is what are we going to read for this week? Chronicle of a Blood Merchant by Yu Hua. And also for next week, we are going to watch some very interesting YouTube video, very popular kind of various YouTube video named in the category mukbang, which is the live eating show. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to introduce the novel we are going to read, a little bit about its author, and also some very interesting point for you to think about. So here I put 4 different covers of the same novel, Chronicle of the Blood Merchant, in different languages. So you can see this novel is not only very popular in China, but also popular global-wise, because it has been translated into various kind of languages. And I think one thing very interesting shared by these 4 covers is the shape, is the image of a round bowl. And that's supposed to be a bowl for the wine or the cup for the wine. So if you can see some liquid in the bowl, that should be the yellow wine, the traditional Chinese wine. And if you read the novel, you'll realize the traditional Chinese yellow wine plus the stir-fried pork liver holds a very significant position in the whole story, not only because it is very important to the character, but also it kind of holds a sacred place, I would say, a very sacred status in the mind of the characters and in the whole narrative of the story. So when you're reading the novel, please pay attention to what kind of food they're eating and what kind of symbolic meaning that food represent. So let's first take a look at its author, Yu Hua. So Yu Hua is a contemporary Chinese author, and he is born in 1960, so not very far away from the time we are living. He was born in Hangzhou, Zhejiang, but later moved to Haiyan. And he was, very interestingly, he was born in a doctor's family and used to work in dentistry. So if you realize he pays much more attention to the human body, the human body's experience and the bodily sensation in his novel, I think he also claimed that it has a lot of things to do with his previous job, which is a dentistry, which is the treatment or how to treat a human body, and the idea, the view about human body is different between a doctor and a normal other career person. So his previous work in dentistry, I would say, heavily influences his idea about how to depict or how to portray different kind of characters. And he made his literature debut in 1983. And he was considered the avant-garde or the post-new wave writer. It's kind of a tricky term, but basically it means he used to write metafiction or post-modernist writing, and later he changed to psychological narrative in the work Brothers. So Brothers is another novel after this one we are reading for this week. So basically you can think of his writing style as pretty post-modernist and pretty avant-garde. Not very traditional, and you can sense the different way of narrative in his writing. And the Cultural Revolution, if you still remember when we are discussing Lu Wenfu's novel The Gourmet, the Cultural Revolution actually took place from his age 7 to 17. So basically his childhood to teenager. That political event had also very much influenced his idea about the human society and about how to especially understanding what is to live and what is life. And his work, especially his around his debut, his work focusing a lot on violence and chaos. He claimed that a calm, orderly society cannot produce such great works. And also, he focuses a lot on the absurdity. And he said, I am a realistic writer, and if my stories are often absurd, that's simply because they are a projection of absurd realities. So because he experienced a cultural revolution in such a young age, and also he used to be a dentist, used to work on human body, so view human body from a autonomic way or I would say inside out way. So his idea about the social movement or the social condition is very much based on how it can be realistic and how realistic can also be absurd. So when you are reading this novel, you will realize a lot of places he focusing a lot on the absurdity, but those absurdity makes you feel real, or you will question yourself, is our real life that absurd? So reality and absurd kind of closely connected in Yu Hua's writing. So basically, he was famous for his trilogy, which is the first one is To Live, written in 1993. And the second one is the one we are going to read is Chronicle of a Blood Merchant, written in 1995. And later is The Brothers, the one he turns to the psychological narrative, which is written in 2005. So you can see Chronicle of Blood Merchant basically is something in between, in the transitional period from the avant-garde writing to a psychological narrative. And let's take a look at some acclaim for Yu Hua this novel. So Terence Chen, the author of Son of Heaven, said, this is a mesmerizing book, one that captures the chaos and the fragility of life during modern China's most turbulent time. Yu Hua's characters brings to life the history, culture, traditions, and the superstitions of Mao's China within a story that is well plotted, poignant, and dramatic. This examination of a Chinese family's will to survive will leave readers filled with inspiration. So basically, the whole novel is about how to live during a modern China, which is not at peace, but with a lot of turbulence and a lot of political movement, a lot of chaos. And another comment by Wang Ping said, Chronicle of Blood Merchant take us straight to the heartland of China, the town, the street, country yard, kitchen, and the bedroom, where ordinary Chinese live. They may not be great warriors or politicians, but their courageous effort in living a life with hope and dignity makes them true heroes. This book is a gem. So this book is not about heroes, about any figure larger than life, but about very much normal people, just like us struggling to live in such a turbulent time, the pandemic time, and how they struggle to live and how they still, even within the very difficult time, even in the unexpected events, they still hold their hope and hold their dignity and strive to live. And also one more comment by Lisa C says, Yu Hua captures the simplistic and complexity of Chinese family lived over many turbulent decades. With great love coated in black humor, Yu Hua shows the great goodness and kindness that a father can draw upon even in the face of multiple hardships and sometimes terrible depths to which he will go to save his life. So basically, the main character, the protagonist, Xu Sanguan, is a father, and his idea about father, or Yu Hua's depiction of a father, is not our traditional thinking of a heroic figure or a figure so selflessly devoted to the family. But Yu Hua portrays that father has its own kind of shortcoming, but also at the same time love his family with all the kindness and goodness. So that kind of great love is very realistic in the way of it's not fictional, or it cannot be simplified as one good merit of a human, but also but actually it is something that you can incorporate in daily life, and you can sense it with together with some shortcomings. So that is one very important theme of this whole novel. So how the love, especially the parents' love to their children, is expressed in a complicated way in the story. And the last comment is by Ha Jing. He said, a major contemporary novelist, Yu Hua writes with a cold eye but a warm heart. His novels are ingeniously structured and exclude a mystical aura. Though unmistakably Chinese, they are universally resonate. So also, if you read the novel, you realize sometimes Yu Hua write about the shortcomings of human nature so deeply and so explicitly that makes you just feel cold. That is what cold means. So you feel cold when you read like how human can be like that. But at the end, towards the end of the novel, or towards the end of each different kind of subplot, you will realize they will find a way, just as I said, to thrive even in such a turbulent time. So it's a very interesting combination between cold and warmth. And also, the warmth can represent in other ways, like Yu Hua will use like black humor or different kind of interesting, sarcastical but humorous way to describe the absurdity in real life. So basically, this is one of the very interesting novels that goes directly into the daily life of contemporary Chinese. And of course, eating and food is one of the biggest things in their daily life. That is why we are going to look into this novel and see how food is represented in Yu Hua's way. So this book, Chronicle of a Blood Merchant, this is one of my favorite novels, so that's why I'm introducing it to you. So this novel is centering on several characters. The first one is Xu Sanguan. So he is a labor worker from a silk factory. He's never has any big dreams to be someone to change the world or someone to do a big thing to even to his own life. He just follow the flow and work what he can, and being a worker, a very ordinary or normal worker. And another character is Xu Yulan, who is Xu Sanguan's wife, and she was depicted as a fried dough queen. So basically, she's very pretty, but she has also doesn't have a bigger dream to do anything about the world. But she just married Xu Sanguan and have 3 kids and live together and strive to make this family survive in such a turbulent time. And one thing very interesting, we didn't get to read that plot, but how Xu Sanguan is able to get Xu Yulan as his wife is a pretty dramatic kind of and also absurd kind of way. That is, when Xu Sanguan first he saw Xu Yulan as a very pretty woman, and she want to court her, and then he goes to Xu Yulan's home and bought a lot of food, a lot of actually street food or snacks for Xu Yulan, and they just eat the snacks and chat all day and walk around in the street. And then Xu Sanguan said, now you have eat so many things from me, and you have to be my wife. So you will think about this. This plot is so absurd, but for Xu Yulan, that is very kind of normal to follow the thread, even if she doesn't want to at the first place. But it's like a fair exchange. So I eat your food, and you promise to feed me or provide me with life servings for the whole life. That is why I need to marry you. So that is how Xu Sanguan and Xu Yulan get to be a couple and have a family. And some other very important characters are Yi Le, Er Le, San Le. These three boys are Xu Sanguan and Xu Yulan's son. But the first son, the Yi Le, is illegitimate children between Xu Yulan and another man. Xu Sanguan doesn't know that until very late. So we will read one chapter on how Xu Sanguan treated Yi Le sort of differently, but I don't want to spoil a lot. But you'll see how Xu Sanguan in the first place treated Yi Le differently because he is not actually his own son. But later he kind of revived that idea and treated him also differently. So these are the main characters in the novel. And some premises you need to be aware of before reading this novel, that is. So first, sell your blood to a hospital can earn much more money than working in the factory. That is actually a historical fact in that period. So a lot of people choose to sell their blood instead of working hard in the factory. And second, because of this profit, there is a blood merchant in charge of who can sell his or her blood in between the seller and the hospital. So if you're going to sell your blood, you cannot go directly to sell your blood to the hospital, but you need to sell your blood via this kind of blood merchant. That is why the blood merchant is so powerful, and they can decide your they can judge you, and they can decide your fate, that whether you can or cannot sell your blood, whether you can or cannot get your money. And also, to produce more blood, you need to drink as much as water as possible before selling your blood. This is kind of a superstitious understanding of how blood is working in your own body, but Xu Sanguan, the protagonist, believes in it firmly. And so before every time he's going to sell his blood, he will drink a lot of water. And lastly, after selling your blood, you should treat yourself with some good food in order to recover. That is also a very interesting idea of how Chinese understand the relationship between food and blood and the body. So blood is very important and holds a very sacred place especially in the Chinese traditional medicine. So when you sell your blood, you basically lose one of the precious spirit of your own body. So you need to treat yourself with some other things, some good things, in order to recover that kind of essence or spirit or breath of your own body. So that is why Xu Sanguan, every time after he after he sell his blood, he will go to a restaurant and drink some wine plus some stir-fried pork liver, which is actually a luxurious dish in terms of a very a working class family at that time. And when you're reading this novel, I think you can pay attention to the several things. So first is the writing style, because this novel is basically dialogue dominate. And you can think about what kind of advantages does this writing style bring to the novel. And second is the symbolic meaning of blood, because the title is The Blood Merchant, a chronicle of a blood merchant, and all the things Xu Sanguan is doing is to sell his blood. So what does blood mean? What kind of symbolic meaning it has? So for example, maybe blood represent body, a healthy body, or blood also can be a commodity. You can sell it, you can get money by selling it. And later, you will see blood can also represent pride, the pride of a man, the pride of a father who is going to support his own family. So what kind of symbolic meaning of blood is a very interesting question to think about. And also the Cultural Revolution and other social political movement. So first is their influence on normal people. So even if the whole novel is focusing on not the big historical narrative, not Cultural Revolution, not how the political game is working there, but focusing on normal people's daily life. But you'll see how the political environment influence on normal people. And also those people give their own creative response, the response with both mind and body. So that is also a very interesting thing you need to pay attention to. And lastly is the action of eating. So we again return to the question eating for living versus eating for taste. And if we consider eating for living is speaking to those working class family like Xu Sanguan's family, then you can think about to which extent or in what circumstances they were also eating for taste. And later, especially for Monday, we'll read one chapter on the description of hunger. And this is one of the most, I would say, the most interesting modern representation of hunger. So please pay attention to read it closely and think about the question whether this description of hunger is close to the reality or it is also romanticized to some degree. Okay, so that is it, and I really hope you enjoy this novel. Please don't forget to leave a comment down below, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Okay, bye.